As much as I love shopping for new Christmas decor, sometimes I find it is just a little too expensive. So let's see if we can DIY some high-end Christmas decor for a fraction of the price. Hi, I'm Allie and welcome to my channel. Since we are getting so close to Christmas, I thought it would be time to take some of that high-end, really expensive home decor from stores like Anthropologie, Pottery Barn, and West Elm and DIY our own versions for a whole lot less. So I picked a couple items, some that are super trendy right now and some that I thought were totally DIY-able, and we're gonna see if we can make them for cheaper. Welcome to the Actually Allie DIY tree farm. You may be wondering why I have so many miniature trees. Well, that's because our first project is going to be making this Pottery Barn snowflake wreath. Now this wreath, if you were to buy it from Pottery Barn, would cost $79. These trees here are $9.99 regular price, and I have 6 of them. However, this time of year, trees like this are going to be on sale at the craft store, so I got these for half off. But we do run into the issue is that they're connected to a base, and so we're gonna have to disconnect them from the base before we can begin assembling. So here we go, time to cut down some trees. I'm curious about what these actually look like underneath the burlap. Okay, we got some foam and we have some, I guess, cement. After removing all of the wrappings and that styrofoam on these trees, I'm going to be using my hacksaw to cut the trees from the bases. I find that this really isn't that difficult. You just really have to get a good start, and then once you get to about halfway through that tree trunk, you're able to bend the tree back and it snaps right off very easily. I did try out using a Sawzall and that did work as well, so I found the ticket to doing this is just a nice fine-tooth saw blade, and you should be able to cut all of these down within just a matter of a couple of minutes each. All of our trees are detached from the bases, and honestly, this wasn't that difficult. It took a little bit of some muscle and a little bit of some patience to get through all 6. Thinking about ways to combine these, I was trying to come up with some ideas, but I think honestly we're just gonna go for the tried and true method when working with a wreath or anything floral, which is floral wire. And so yeah, we're just gonna use this to bind them together into kind of like little pairs like this first, and then we'll figure out how we're gonna combine it all into that snowflake shape. I really did not care if this looked pretty or not while I was wrapping it with the wire, because you're not going to see it in the final result. So I just took that wire and I wrapped it around the 2 trunks of the trees to combine them together. I also decided to secure them in 2 other spots like you see me doing here. That's just to make sure that they hold and keep that nice structure so you get this beautiful snowflake look in the end. Now when making this project, I decided to go with the mini trees instead of like a floral stem because they do have a bit more structure. They'll hold their shape a little bit better, especially if you have plans on hanging this, let's say outside on a porch or something. I just feel like this is going to hold up a little bit more over time. So to begin assembling the snowflake, you're going to want to take 1 pair and then stack another pair of the branches on top, making them like a nice tight X shape, not kind of like a perfectly symmetrical 90-degree angle type of X. You want to make sure that you're going to end up with that nice even 6-point snowflake. I just used a lot more wire to wrap everything together until it felt really nice and secure and sturdy. And then I also went in with some floral tape and secured it that way as well, but you'll see later on that I found, I think, a better method than the floral tape for doing this, which are pipe cleaners are the way to go to get a really good secure hold. Now to hide where everything can join together, you're going to want to start bending some of the branches into place. You can see that I'm kind of manipulating them in a way where I kind of bend them down and then back upward so that they fill in the middle there and hides it really well. I think that's another reason why I like these faux trees instead, is that they have a really good wire through them so that I'm able to do this and bend the pieces into place exactly where I want them. And it really nicely hides where we can join the pieces together. You can not even tell that this happened at all, which I love it. This looks pretty as is, but keeping true with the Pottery Barn piece, I did add some fairy lights all the way around and hot glued the battery pack to the back of the wreath. And finally, I added a string so that you're able to hang it up wherever you choose for your holiday decorating. So let's total this project up and see how I did. Here are all of the supplies that I purchased for this project, coming to a total of $38.73. With the original wreath costing $79, this makes for a $40 savings. As soon as I saw this next Anthropologie item that we're going to dupe, I knew that it was going to be one of the trending viral projects of the season. And it is this Anthropologie bow garland, which cost $128. To me, that is absurd for a couple ribbons on a string, and I think I came up with a way cheaper way of making it. And what we're going to need is a lot of hair bows. And I think this is gonna be so easy. So what I did was I went to Amazon and I purchased a bunch of bow barrettes in colors similar to the Anthropologie ones. Okay, it's bow time. That was bad. What you're going to need first is some gold cord like this, because the Anthropologie version I noticed has that gold cord running all the way through the length of the garland. Mimicking the Anthropologie piece, I tied a nice big loop on the one end and then measured out 6 feet and added another loop because I wanted to make this the exact size of the Anthropologie piece as well. You are not going to believe how easy this is going to be. All you're simply going to do is take that rope, bend it ever so slightly so that it fills in the barrette, and snap the barrette closed around it. It holds so nicely. I promise you that this is not going anywhere unless you're gonna be like playing around with it. But I just bent that rope into place and snapped the bows on. And I love it because you're not damaging the hair bows. So if you decide you're tired of this, the bows still remain intact, can be reused or repurposed or re-gifted or whatever it may be. And I think it's just so perfect. Now, also a note as I'm making this, I wanted to make mine as true as possible to the Anthropologie version with the colors I picked. I'll be linking these bows in the description box, but I did price it out and it would be a little bit cheaper if you're willing to compromise on these exact colors and choose your own color palette. But I really did want to make this look as identical to the Anthropologie piece as possible to see if it's possible to save money while doing it. Okay, here is the real test. How does this compare price-wise to the Anthropologie garland? I spent a total of $38.04 to make this. The Anthropologie version is $128. That means I saved nearly $90 DIYing this garland myself. I need someone to explain to me why art prints that aren't tied to any specific artist are so expensive from high-end stores. Why is it $399 for this print of Jingle Bell sheet music in a frame? I get that frames are definitely expensive, especially if you do a custom frame, but this project is so DIY-able, and I want to put my own personal spin on it. So my way of making this art for this project is with some old sheet music. This is Christmas sheet music, which I was so excited to find when I was at the antique store. And the best part is I paid $1 for this. $1 for this sheet music, and it is perfect for this project. Now, if you don't have access to finding something like this at the thrift or antique store, you can obviously just go on, search Jingle Bells sheet music or Christmas music sheet music into Google image search, find a somewhat high quality one and print it out. Now what you're also going to need is a frame to frame your sheet music. I have this one here that has been in my stash. I've used it in the past. It's a previous thrift flip actually. I got this frame from Goodwill for $3.99. So $4.99 to make this DIY, you cannot beat that. And this is just gonna be really simple. Let me show you how to make it. So when I was looking for some paper to use to put this on, I realized I ran out of my pure white paper, and this is too close of a match. And I really want a nice crisp white background to contrast the aged look of this paper. So I did find in my stash a Dollar Tree canvas panel, and I honestly think this is gonna look even better. It's even an 11 by 14, which is the perfect size for the frame that I wanna put it in. So I'm thinking, let's go with this because it's gonna add a nice texture and look even a little bit more expensive. The very first thing I needed to do was clean up the sheet music. I needed to erase the pencil markings from the seller at the store, as well as there were a couple scribbles on the page in pencil that I didn't quite like, but I left on some of the original notes in handwriting from whoever was marking on this music because I thought that added a really special touch. Now I don't want to ruin this sheet music permanently because I think it's such a cool piece. So I folded it so that the covers were facing inward and then stuck that extra page in between. So I'm not losing any piece of this music. And I'm also only going to be using some Scotch tape to assemble it because, again, I really wanted to put as little damage on this music as possible because I do feel like there is some story behind this piece, and I wouldn't feel right if I was destroying it or cutting it up into something new, and so this really just preserves it the best that I can. What I really love about this is while it's not exactly like the Pottery Barn piece, I think this one is going to be a lot more special and more meaningful, and that's why I love being able to create my own art and do DIY pieces like this, because this is a one-of-a-kind piece that belongs only to me, and I love that I'm able to display this and keep this for year after year to display for so many Christmases to come. You already know that this one is going to come in way less than the original. Here is what I spent to make this sheet music art, coming to a total of $9.23. Compared to the $399 price tag on the Pottery Barn version, this is almost a $390 savings. Every year I like to include a DIY ornament project along with the DIYs, and so I really wanted to make some like these from West Elm. Now I will say these ornaments retail for $12 a piece, and to be honest, I'm not sure if we're going to be making this for cheaper than the $12, but they do have the added benefit of being totally customized because you DIY'd them yourself. So I feel like there's a trade-off right there, but we could still try to make things a little bit cheaper. So let's just have some fun and make some really cute ornaments. To make these ornaments, I picked up these little cloche or snow globe ornaments from the craft store. They were on sale, so they were only a couple of dollars. How do I open this? It looks like you twist it. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Now this one should be a little bit easier. On both of them, I'm painting the bottoms white so that they can mimic the look of our inspiration piece and look like freshly fallen snow. While I was waiting on that white paint to dry, I'm also going to paint one of these mini houses that I picked up from Michael's, and I'm going to make this look like a gingerbread because it really had that shape of a gingerbread house, so I painted it a nice medium brown kind of gingerbread shade. I then went in with a white paint pen and painted in all of the little lines and details, and this thing totally came to life. It looked so cute like this. Once the paint dried on our bases, I then added on some Mod Podge and sprinkled on some fake snow, and then you're going to want to let that dry as well. Once all of the paint is dry, it is time to begin assembling these ornaments. I pushed aside some of that fake snow that I put on, used a generous amount of hot glue, and placed the gingerbread house onto the cork base. I'm now going to be using a variety of mini bottle brush trees. I picked up this pack off of Amazon and I got way too many than I need for this project, but I'll link these down below. Since this ornament had the cork base, I was able to cut off the wood bottoms using my wire cutters off of these bottle brush trees, put some glue on the bottom, and then press it into the cork, and they held in place really, really well. I added some more Mod Podge to the roof of this little gingerbread house and sprinkled on some clear glitter. As a finishing touch, I then took a silver shiny pipe cleaner that I just had in my craft stash and wrapped it around the bottom of this cloche because I think this adds just a little vintage charm to the piece. For the second ornament, we're going to go a little bit simpler. I'm taking some of these bottle brush trees in a couple different colors, and I'm using some hot glue to stick them right onto the base. Finally, I picked up these little tiny presents and I'm gluing one right in the middle. There are so many possibilities of how you could fill these little globes, and I think it was so much fun, and I kind of wish I would have bought more of them because I feel like it'd be so fun to make these and also gift them for people this year. Totaling up all of the supplies that I used for this project, I spent $33.76 to make these two ornaments, coming out at about $16.87 each. But considering I have a lot of leftover supplies, I would say it's really about $6 each to make these ornaments, which compared to the $12 West Elm ornaments, that is a savings of $6. Which of these projects were your favorite? Let me know down in the comments. I'll be honest, I think mine might be the bow garland. I totally didn't think I was going to love that as a decor piece just in general, but seeing it made, it's so cute. It brings me so much joy. It feels so Christmassy, and I think it's just really sweet. As those days count down to Christmas, and if you're looking for some DIY gift ideas, I have a whole video right here for you to check out after this one. That's everything I have for you in this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.